All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Parisi. Thank you for joining us for a conversation with the candidates. I'm the president of Howell, New Jersey First, which is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization focused on educating and advocating about local issues here in Howell. Candidate forums like this are important because they offer voters an opportunity to learn about those running to serve our community. These forums cost money to plan and run. We invite everyone to please throw a few dollars in the jar on your way out, or visit our website at howellnjfirst.com/donate. Your donations will help allow us to hold these events again in the future. I would like to thank the Howell NJ First team who helped organize this event, and the Howell Township Public School District who helped allow us to use this venue tonight. This event is being live streamed on the Howell, New Jersey First Facebook page and is also being recorded for future public viewing. After the first forum, we will take a short break and then resume the live stream for the second forum. As you can see, we have the Board of Ed candidates sitting up here. They're going to start first, and then when they're done, just before 7 o'clock, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up with the council candidates. I want to first recognize some special guests in our audience tonight. As I look around the room, I see that we have I saw John McCabe. John, where are you? Did you step out?
I'm going to take something quick.
Okay, John McCabe, the chairman of the Howell Democrats, is here. I thought that Mr. Joseph DeBella was going to be here tonight. I don't see him. Maybe he's running a little bit late. And former council candidate Betty Velez-Gimbel's here. Thank you guys for coming. I would like to thank the Board of Education and council candidates for being here tonight. Running for the Freehold Regional High School District are Joan, Butcher-Farkas, and Zack, Metzger, who are sitting here at the table. And later on, we're going to meet the two candidates running for council, Dr. James Quinn and Mike Wrubel. What's that? Oh, Ian's here. Sorry. Councilman Ian Nadell, you're sitting in the back. I didn't see you over there. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'd also like to thank the spouses and family members of the candidates who are here in attendance tonight. We respectfully request the audience refrain from making any audible comments or outbursts in support of or in opposition to any statements made by the candidates. Anyone who causes a disturbance will be asked to leave. We also request the audience refrain from clapping after any candidate makes a statement or answers a question. Let's give them a round of applause now before we get the event started. Now I'd like to introduce the moderator for tonight's forum, Stephanie Faughnan. Stephanie was a journalist for the Howell Times for several years. She still does cover some things from time to time. During this time, she learned a lot about Howell, our local government, and the issues impacting our community. Her writing has appeared in the Asbury Park Press, Jersey Shore Online, and Tap Into, in a few towns. Stephanie moderated our candidates forum last year, and she has also moderated other Board of Education debates, mayoral races, and a primary race for the 3rd Congressional District. We thank Stephanie for her work with both planning and moderating this event. Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Good evening. As you've heard, my name is Stephanie Faughnan. This is actually the 3rd time I have moderated something here in Howell. So you know, I don't have a vested interest because I live in Barnegat, so I'm as interested as everybody else here, and I won't have to vote on any of you, which is kind of good. One of the things I really like about coming here to Howell and doing these forums here is I like the way Howell, New Jersey First has phrased this, and I want everybody to pay attention to this phrase. They've called it a conversation with the candidates. Therefore, it is not a debate, because I am not up for any debates, so no fighting. Again, I want you to consider, we want everybody to present their views. Some reminders, especially about Board of Education, nonpartisan. What party you are is irrelevant when it comes to this, and we want to keep that as something in mind. The other thing is at the beginning of the evening, before people came in, we picked order that the candidates would speak by a simple dice roll. My friend John came up here with me, and I understand he's been asked to go to Atlantic City with people. The candidates, the way this is going to work, the candidates are going to do opening statements. Then I have 5 questions. Oh, something I should tell you. I didn't have to work really, really hard to come up with questions. I got over 50 questions in the email. And, you know, people may not recognize the questions because I condensed them. One of the questions I did eliminate, I will tell you, because it had nothing to do with the district that you're with. It had to do, I think it's the school, Middle School North. Somebody asked a question about, so I did call Mark, who knows nothing about any of the other questions, and I said, am I right? That's not the same district, right? And he said, you're right. We have Steve Mirabella to my left, who's also from Howell, and I'm pleased that I know left and right. Steve is going to be our timer. Steve will just let you know, like when you're 30 seconds behind, and then the red means to stop. Again, the questions come from a variety of sources. They come from community members, and then I looked at both of the materials you both had online, and I came up with individual questions for each of you, which will be easy for you, I promise. And then at the end, you're going to have an opportunity. That's your chance to go through closing statements, things that you want to wrap up, everything. Okay? My friend John, my colleague here, is going to have Joan pick the first number. So Joan, oh, yeah, for opening statements. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Joan Butcher-Farkas. I have the privilege of currently being one of 2 representatives to the Board of Education from Howell Township for the Freehold High School Regional District. I want to thank everybody who arranged this forum. I want to thank Zack for being here. I want to thank Stephanie for being willing to moderate, and all of you who came out in person, and also those of you who are watching at home. Thanks so much for tuning in. A little bit about me, if you do not know me. I have been a resident of Howell for over 20 years. I've raised 3 kids here. They came through the public school system. I volunteered as a Girl Scout leader, Cub Scout leader, rec soccer coach. I am a youth group facilitator for my congregation, which is actually in Middletown. And in that capacity, I also am our whole lives educator. My education, I have both a bachelor's and a master's degree in social work. My concentration was in children and families, so I am well aware of the developmental stages that our kids are going through, and also how that impacts both families and the community as a whole. I've used that in a variety of settings. I've been a crisis counselor in Central State's emergency room. I've been an educator on the community college level where I taught classes in both nonprofit accounting and budget formation, as well as policy. And I will tell you more about my qualifications later on because I have hit the time frame. Thanks, Steve.
Zack?
Good evening. I'm Zack Metzger, running to represent Howell in the Freehold Regional High School District Board of Education, because I want to put our students first. I'd like to begin by addressing the elephant in the room. Yes, I am a young guy, and yes, I am currently a senior at Coltsnick High School. But I'm going to ask you to do one thing tonight. Look past my age, because you'll quickly see somebody who deeply cares about and understands the issues that are facing our high school district. That said, I come to you all tonight as a student who experiences the effects of our policies in real time. That means every curriculum change, I feel it. Every budget decision, I feel it. Every policy initiative, I feel it. That's why I want to serve, to give back to a district that has given me so much. And because I've seen firsthand what works and what doesn't at our high schools, I understand the day-to-day realities in the 6 high schools in the Freehold Regional High School District, and am best equipped to support our educators and our students on the Board of Education. I'd like to thank Howell NJ first, and Stephanie for moderating our debate tonight. And of course, I would like to thank all of you for coming out. I could think of much better things to do on a Tuesday night. And thank you to all of you that are watching the live stream right now. And I'm excited to share with you my ideas on school health, fiscal responsibility, and academic rigor. So please, I hope you'll vote Metzger so that we can put our students first together.
Thank you, Zach. Zach, you picked the first question. Just tell me the number and you get to keep the question.
Number 3.
Okay. Community members have raised interest in programs that promote lifelong wellness and integrate mental health into physical education. The question is, what changes, if any, would you advocate in, I'm going to call it the district instead of the initials, in the district's approach to physical education to better support students' long-term physical and emotional well-being?
Absolutely. So as a student, I see firsthand what our physical education programs are like in the 6 high schools across the district. And I'll tell you this right now, our current gym classes could be doing so much more to prepare students for healthy, real-world habits that last a lifetime. Oftentimes in gym classes, they don't prioritize what really matters, and that's real-world fitness. I can tell you several times where they just sat us on the bleachers, told us to sit there for the entire class period, and we did nothing. I can tell you countless other times where they just had us walk around the track on one day because they didn't feel like doing anything. Or I can tell you other times where we simply played games. My vision for physical education in the Freehold Regional High School District, it's inspired by John F. Kennedy's vision, the La Sierra Physical Education Program. Essentially, I want to meet students where they're at in terms of their physical fitness and have our gym teachers help train them up so that they can become healthy and make that last a lifetime. So what this looks like is teaching kids how to use proper form, how to do proper exercises, and how to be healthy for life. Because healthy communities means healthy students, and healthy students mean students that are ready to succeed in the real world.
Thank you, Zach. Joan, you have a chance to speak on your rules.
Sure. I approach the idea of wellness a little differently than Zack. I see it as a fully integrated aspect of everyone's life. Certainly physical education is important. It's mandated, and a lot of the curriculum unfortunately does come down from the state. What we need to look into is what is the execution if that is indeed the experience that our students are having. In order for us to be holistically healthy, we need to also have mental health. We need to have proper sex education. We need to have opportunities for physical activity outside of gym class. We need to be encouraging our students to participate in extracurricular activities of all types because they really need an opportunity to blow off some steam, especially in your senior year when you're looking at applying to colleges, applying to, I know I'm telling him something he doesn't know, taking SATs, taking AP classes, and I think we do a good job at doing that. I was at back to school night, and when I hear the principals introduce the opportunities that they have to participate in music, to participate in art, to go out for a sport, to do a sport that perhaps they're not going to do on a varsity level. I think we need to look at the whole student and look at this holistically. My son was born with a congenital heart defect, so we need to look at being able to have gym classes that also include the special needs kids, because while my son was never completely removed from gym class, he can't be doing timed miles. He can't be doing some of the other things that do come into that. So I think we need to remember that we're looking at the entire class and we're looking at the whole student. I agree with him 100%. We want to plant those seeds that cause people to focus on lifelong physical fitness. I know Zach's a runner, I am a runner. I am all in favor of doing these things, but I think we also have to bear in mind the burden to the teachers, the way that we need to address these students' complete health, the holistic wellness aspect, and you know, anything we can incorporate into our gym, into our health, into our after-school activities that will help to do that, I think we need to do.
Thank you. Zach, you're going to have the next question. What number is it?
8.
FRHSD board members vote on district-wide issues, but represent specific sending towns. If elected, how will you keep Howell residents informed and engaged in regional board decisions?
Absolutely. Keeping our residents informed in the issues that are happening in the Freehold Regional High School District is of utmost importance to me, because our democracy doesn't work when we don't have an informed populace and citizens that know what's going on in their government. Of course, I would encourage Howell residents to show out to our Freehold Regional Board meetings, to watch them on YouTube, they're posted online, but of course I understand that not everyone is able to do that. People have jobs, people don't exactly want to be devoting all their time to what's going on my local Board of Ed, or my regional Board of Ed rather. So I'm your guy. I'm your guy that'll keep you informed. I maintain a social media following, I maintain a website, and I'll continue to do that when elected. I'll continue to let you know what are the issues that we're voting on day to day. Instead of you having to go into our website and go through and find the agenda, I'll tell you what's going on. Because I want to make sure that you understand what is happening on our Freehold Regional High School District. Because not only are you a policy-making body as a board member, you're a liaison between the community and the schools. And I intend to serve in that liaison capacity.
Thank you, Zack. Joan?
For the high school district actually is about as transparent as you can be. All of our emails are posted for the public on the Freehold Regional High School website. Our meetings are announced ahead of time, they're open to the public, they're videotaped, the agenda comes out ahead of time. So all of that is available for you. That being said, when I have individuals reach out to me through my emails, I will lead them to where the appropriate information. The problem is that as a Board of Education member, you are not allowed to speak for the entire board. You have to make a clarifying statement that you are speaking on your own behalf and in your own thoughts. The Board of Education president is the only person who can speak on behalf of the whole board, and the superintendent is the only person who can speak on behalf of the district. That is the ethical and legal ramifications. The problem with social media is that both the New Jersey School Board Association and our board attorney are very clear that we not maintain personal social media pages and not use that to disseminate information about the district because of the liability that it opens up the school to, the entire district to. And there have been, he cites lawsuits when he does our ethics training, he goes through why you cannot do anything. Should Zack be elected and attend the governance training in his first year, it will be explained to him very clearly why that's not the way that we are supposed to be disseminating information. I am open to communicating with the Howell residents in any way that they would like to be communicated with that does not violate any of those guidelines of the board attorney. You know, if you have an attorney in your life that is advising you as to how you should do your job, you're foolish to not listen to them. And my mama didn't raise a fool. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan, you get the first question. What number is it?
Number 5.
I can tell you that this is a hot issue in every single community that I go to. Districts must balance inclusivity and parental involvement when addressing issues of gender identity and curriculum content. What is your position on parental notification when a student changes their gender identity or pronouns, and how should the district approach related topics within the curriculum?
My position on parental notification is to sit with the student and say, who do we have at home that we can bring into this conversation? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna give you a parent. Either mom, either dad, sometimes both. Because once and I'm someone who's had to work with who's had to work with confidentiality as a social worker. So while the law or the policy may be like, we can't pick up the phone immediately, there is not a single educational professional that is not going to want to involve a family and provide family support for any child that feels that their gender identity does not match their biological reality. That is an extremely difficult and traumatic situation for someone to be going through. And when you can bring in those family supports outside of the schoolroom, outside of the classroom, you're going to 100% going to do that. In terms of the curriculum, again, the policy and curriculum is dictated by the state. We do not have, I actually asked this because we had a policy meeting where we reviewed again what the curriculum requirements are. And we asked the policy, the lead policy person for the administration in the district, how many complaints do you get about the health care curriculum and about the sex education curriculum? Because it's posted online and parents can review it. They're allowed to opt out of lessons if they choose to. He said to me that in a district of 10,000 students, we will maybe get as many as 3 families per building that have questions about it, that review the curriculum, that want to speak to the curriculum supervisor, and then after those conversations, maybe one goes on to actually opt a child out. There's a lot of scare tactics about what we are supposedly teaching children, about what we are supposedly doing for trans students, and quite frankly, it's frustrating. It's a political tool that people are using with a very marginalized group and a very, very small percentage of the population as a whole in the country, let alone within our district. I have been endorsed by Garden State Equality, and I am proud of that endorsement because I was raised to believe that everyone in our community deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. And that is what that sort of endorsement says to me. If you do not believe that everyone in the community is deserving of respect, support, and being treated with dignity, I'm probably not your candidate. Because that is a value that I've been raised with, and I'm not going to change my value or my position on people's basic human rights in order to get elected to any office. Thanks.
Zack?
As a board member, I pledge to uphold policy 5756 on the district level. That is the policy that essentially says that there is no affirmative duty of the school district to tell a parent when there is a child that is going through something with their gender, whether they be transgender or changing their pronouns. So essentially, what that means is that they want to bring parents in on this issue. When kids go to their guidance counselors, when they go to their teachers, when they go to their administrators, they want to notify parents because that's ultimately what's best for the child. Oftentimes, though, there are opportunities or circumstances where it is simply not safe to notify the child because the home condition might not be okay for that child that might be going into where somebody should be notified. So there are people that want to revoke policy 5756, and here's what I say about it. We need it simply as a legal protection for the district. Under New Jersey's law against discrimination, the LAD, we are required to treat students with respect. We are required to treat students equally, and revoking policy 5756 does not revoke a district of its legal obligation to treat all students with respect and to make all students feel welcome within the district. So policy 5756, it's a common sense ground for administrators and guidance counselors and teachers to know how to approach these issues so that they can protect the district and of course make the kids feel welcome. Big area to protect the district because we see what happens when you revoke that policy or when you require automatic notification policies. It goes to court. The Attorney General will sue us. I don't want to hand more billable hours to the lawyers. Our district is facing funding issues as it is, and it's simply not worth it. As far as curriculum, I affirm the right of any parent to opt out of a curriculum which they believe goes against their moral or personal beliefs. I would encourage a parent to, of course, sit down with those curriculum supervisors, sit down with those teachers, learn what the curriculum is about. I do believe that the state standards and the specific instructional content in Freehold Regional Schools is age appropriate at every level, but of course, I would affirm the right of a parent to opt out for their child if they deem it so necessary.
Thank you, Zack. Joan, you are prepared.
Number 4.
Okay. Some New Jersey districts now include student representatives on their boards, creating new dynamics between students and staff. As an aside, I'm just going to ask, should you be elected, you wouldn't be a student when you would be starting on the board.
He would be. He'd be going in January, so he would still be a student.
Oh, I thought you were.
Yes, I graduate in June 2026.
Okay. Okay, so then you fit this question perfectly. Thank you. I did not realize that. Freehold Regional. If Freehold Regional were to add a student board representative, what safeguards would you propose to ensure healthy boundaries between students, teachers, and administrators?
I think I would first like to say, having met Zack, I think Zack is well aware of the possibility of boundary issues, and I think he would be choosing to police himself. That being said, every January, our board attorney at the reorganization meeting goes over an ethics training with us, has us fill out a form to let us know any connection that we have to anything in the district. And after that happens, he comes back to us by the very next meeting with, these are the subjects that you can't be in executive session when it's discussed. These are the items that you cannot vote on. While I am not the attorney and I'm not going to pretend to know what he would say, obviously there are some potential pitfalls when we're in executive session and we have the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report. It is confidential, but it's divided by school and with initials. Is our attorney going to say, you know what, he might recognize that student, he can't participate in any of the harassment, intimidation, and bullying conversations? If we're negotiating a salary or we have an HR issue with with faculty, support staff, janitors, bus drivers, is he going to say, no, you can't do that, Zack, because you actually have a connection to them because of the fact that they are your teacher, or they are your bus driver, or etc. And we have people now that are not able to vote on HR issues because they have family members that work in the district. So I'm assuming he's going to look at something kind of like that. He does tend to be conservative, which I appreciate because we don't need the district being sued. At the end of the day, I can say that at the current time, neither our board representative, Peter Bruno, nor myself are conflicted out of any conversations or any votes. So for everything that comes before the regional high school board, we get our 2 full Howell votes, always, on every decision, and we don't have to walk out of any executive sessions. I do not know what would happen with Zack, but it's entirely possible that our board attorney would want him to abstain from certain conversations and certain votes. And we won't know that until a January reorg meeting when our attorney reviews the circumstances and makes those decisions. So you could be taking a chance that instead of always having 2 votes from Howell, since we are the largest town, that you would at times have only 1 vote on important issues.
Thank you. Zack?
I do think it is worth noting that we also do have our Farmingdale representative. Fun fact, we actually get to vote on the Farmingdale representative. So even if I were to have to recuse myself on a certain issue, we would still have that person voting on our behalf. That said, I do not believe that the potential for a conflict of interest is a huge concern for our district. In regards to me serving on the board, I plan to follow all of the ethics laws that are put down by the state of New Jersey, and of course I will work with our board attorney and follow all guidance and abstain from matters in which he believes that there is a conflict of interest. So, that said, what I would like to, it is important to note that it's not unusual to see that board members abstain on certain matters of the agenda. Go to a board meeting, you'll see when they go through their agenda and they vote on it, you'll see certain members go, oh, I abstain on this, this, and this. because they have a conflict of interest. Oftentimes those are mundane housekeeping matters, such as the approval of stipends, the approval of a leave of absence, the approval of maternity leave. So I do not believe that it'll be a big concern that'll hinder my service on the Board of Education.
Okay, thank you, Zach. And Joan, you get the next one again.
This is why they were saying you should go to the museum. Number one.
Number one. Good, that's a good one. Another common problem you hear in Ocean and Monmouth County are, like other districts around here, Freehold Regional Board of Education has had a lot of cuts because of S2 aid limits. If additional state aid reductions occur, what would be your top priority for protecting educational quality while keeping Howell's tax burden manageable?
Well, to begin with, S2 funding, unless it gets changed, which maybe the new legislature will do that, they didn't do it this spring, they had an opportunity, we will continue to see reductions in state aid. We lost $900,000 out of the last budget. One thing that we did do this year is that we did pass a budget. We did take advantage of a tax levy program, which had us increase house taxes by 3.4% versus the 2% cap. You will never not get the 2% cap unless S2 changes. For that, we received $1 million in state funding returned. So we had a net profit on that. And we are now able to set aside $12 million for the next 20 years to be used for a capital improvement plan to fix what's going on in our buildings. We'll be replacing heating systems, we will be adding air conditioning, we'll be replacing gym floors, redoing roofs, we will be repaving exterior surfaces, including the tennis courts that have fallen into disrepair. So we've built ourselves a cushion. And that is because it is inevitable that S2 is going to continue to reduce our funding. In terms of educational quality, we have a strategic plan, the Compass 3.0 plan, and we will continue to fund those things that are in line with those goals, such as creating curriculum that allows our students to have real-world applications for what they're learning. I think Zack is a perfect example of how our curriculum works. We have a 17-year-old who feels confident enough and that he has real-world experience enough through what he's learning to run for office. That is an enormous credit to the curriculum that is in the Freehold Regional High School District, as well as a credit to him and his family. So I think we stay focused on where we're at. We also, as I said, we've built in a cushion. And we need to, as a community, and I'm speaking as a community member now, we need to look at the people that we vote into the assembly, look at the people that we vote into the governor's race, and see how they plan to fund public education. Because not only are we losing state aid, we are losing federal education aid. In fact, the Department of Education just laid off the entire special education department during the furlough. So what does that mean for those of us with kids that have IEPs and 504s? We don't know. We don't know what is going to happen with that. I can tell you lawsuits, but we need to be really aware of who makes those decisions about how we're funded and look at them with that eye to say, who's gonna fund my kids' education? Because we can't keep sending people in that throw it back to the school boards to then make the local taxpayers make up the difference. It's not fair to any of you or to those of us on the board.
Thank you, Zach.
Yes, I would like to take the opportunity to just correct a few things that Ms. Butcher-Farkas had said. So she mentioned that S2 is we are going to continue to see funding cuts year to year. That's actually not the case, fortunately, for our district. So what's happening with S2 right now? Over the past 7 years, we had seen drastic cuts in our state aid under S2. Fortunately, S2 is sunsetting to a point where our aid numbers are going to be more consistent from year to year. That's what Alex Ferreira, the business superintendent for the district, discussed in his budget hearing. Moreover, Federal aid, as unfortunate as it is for the Freehold Regional High School District to have cuts in federal aid to our district, it's not as big of a problem as one would be led to believe. In fact, in the fiscal year 2025 budget, there was about $129,000 in funding from the federal government. This year, it's $15,000. That's a drop in the bucket in comparison to the local tax levy of $188 million from our property taxes themselves. That said, part of the reason why those federal numbers are being cut is they're actually reworking certain formulas, including the Medicaid formula. So hopefully we should see a restoration in some of that federal funding. Ms. Butcher-Farkas also mentioned that we are allocating $12.2 million to capital improvement projects every year. I absolutely agree that our district needs to invest in capital improvement. We have some crumbling facilities across the district, and people come to Howell because they want to live in our schools. They start families here because we have excellent schools. It's what drives our property values up. Unfortunately, that $12.2 million, that's going to be over the next 20 years. However, the district brought in an outside architectural company to do a report on our capital needs within the Freehold Regional High School District from Spiesel Architectural Group. I'm holding the report right here for Howell High School. What they found is that there's actually over $600 million in need for repairs. Many of these things in Howell High School, where they have certain bathroom facilities that are not compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, where they have stages that are in need of desperate repairs because it's going to become state safety issues, especially for our FPAC kids with those FPAC programs. So what I would like to do is that over the next few years, let's look for opportunities where we can get grants from the states, grants from any government, grants where we can, so that we can fully fund these capital improvement projects. $12.2 million is nice. $240 million is nice over the next 20 years, but we need a lot more than that to fully fund our capital improvement needs within the Freehold Regional High School District.
Thank you, Zach. Okay, now on to our individual questions. Joan, your background in social work gives you a unique lens into family and child development. How has your training as a social worker influenced the way you view student success and the role of schools in supporting not only academics, but also emotional and social well-being?
I think I talked about that a little bit when we talked about overall wellness. As a social worker, I view the individual in their entirety, and I view them in their environment. So I look at their family environment, I look at the school environment, I look at the community environment, and I look at the opportunities that they have. When we are meeting to discuss curriculums and policies, one of the things I look at is it developmentally appropriate? Does it meet the needs of all of our students? And on what level can I make suggestions? Because to be clear, no Board of Ed member is going to be able to walk in and say, hey, Dr. Howell, I have this great curriculum and I think we should introduce it. I look at our budgets to make sure that our SACs and our counselors are fully funded. I look at the way that community feedback as to whether they feel that their students' needs are being met and try to incorporate that into my decision making. We have a very serious situation going on right now. It has been made public. It's been put into the newspapers where there was some anti-Semitic bullying going on in social media. One of the things that we have done in the course of the past year is that we eliminated the use of cell phones during academic time periods. We've expanded that to include any type of electronic device, and we've expanded it to include the usage in hallways and bathrooms as well. It has had a remarkable effect in reducing our incidents of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. In the entire year last year, Howell High School, shout out to Principal Wrubel, had only 4 recorded incidents. I was feeling really, really good about that until my emails started going berserk in the past week to see what was happening, not in Howell High, but some of our kids do indeed go to Freehold Township, and one of the students was from there. I fully expect that at Thursday's board meeting, our executive session is going to be dealing with this situation and where we're going to be looking at it. So one of the things that I've said multiple times is that my training as a social worker makes me want to be certain that everyone is treated with dignity and respect and met where they are. And so the decisions that I make as a school board member are always with those values in mind.
Thank you. Zack, I have a different question for you, and you used this phrase just a few minutes ago. You've asked voters to look past your age and focus on your dedication to community issues. So based on that, what experiences, either in school, volunteer work, or leadership, have best prepared you to make complex policy and budget decisions on behalf of 10,000 students?
Right. So the Board of Education is largely a policy-making body. You don't run the schools as a Board of Education member. Instead, you guide the district and you oversee that this district is well run, and you hire a superintendent. So what I like to think of it as, your Board of Education members, they're like your directors for a company board, and then your superintendent, that's your CEO. That's your person that's out there every day on the front lines, making sure that the policy initiatives of the Board of Education are carried out within the schools. So I see the role of a Board of Education member, it's largely about perspective. It's about, what does this person bring to the table that other people don't bring to the table? As a student, I've seen firsthand the effects of our policies. I've seen firsthand our curriculum needs. I've seen firsthand how we can support our educators. That's something that, unfortunately, my opponent, it's been decades since she has been a student in the high schools, and the times are changing, as Bob Dylan sings in his song. Our students have to deal with new threats every single day at school, whether that be the rising rates of chronic absenteeism, the cell phones in the schools, or my personal favorite, artificial intelligence. As a young guy, I understand how it plays a role into our schools, and I'm best equipped to sit in those committees and bring the perspectives that our boards of education needs in order to make the right decisions.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to go into the last portion of our program, and Joan, you get to start again with closing statements, please.
So again, thanks to all of you for being here. Thanks to all of you for listening to us and allowing us to present our vision for the district. I think you're seeing that you have two very different candidates. I'm not going to pick on Zack for his age. Too bad he decided to pick on me for mine. That being said, as a Board of Education representative, you need to represent the entire community. You cannot represent just one group. So while I may not have been in high school for a long time, I speak to high school students every day. I've raised 3 children that went through high school. And believe it or not, one of the reasons that I am a youth group facilitator is that the teenager in me never died. I like working with teens, and people think I'm out of my mind for it. I'm hoping that what you will see coming from me is somebody who's been dedicated to the community for longer than Zack's been alive, that what I bring to the table is a perspective that is well-rounded and grounded, that the experience that I bring is what is needed on a Board of Education. Quite frankly, the numbers that Zack is saying in terms of the budget show him as either being naive or misinformed. So, I think you want to think long and hard before you're handing millions of dollars over to someone who, in order to open a bank account, need to have his parents co-sign. So that being said, I really want to talk to you about why I am the better candidate. You can read my resume, you can call me, you can contact me through my campaign pages and my emails, and I'm happy to respond to you on any questions and any issues that you have. Thank you again for coming out and for giving us this opportunity to present our campaigns.
Thank you, Joan. Zack?
quite frankly, I'm disappointed that I'm going to have to say this in my closing statement. I wanted to talk about myself and my ideas. That was not a dig at your age, Ms. Butcher-Farkas. The same way that when you said to an Asbury Park press reporter, it's not even fair to say less experience, because I've been working in the fields that I've been working in longer than Zack's been alive, and that's not his fault. Ms. Butcher-Farkas, some could view that as reverse age discrimination. I'm not going to call age discrimination. It's a simple fact that it's been decades since you've been a high school student, and yes, I agree. It's a simple fact that you have more experience in the fields that you've been working than years that I've been alive. That is true. Second point, I'm not sure if Ms. Butcher-Farkas just wasn't at the May 6th budget hearing meeting when Alex Ferreira went into detail on all of the budget numbers, because I copied those numbers directly from the district and the Board of Education. I will be posting it later tonight. I will get the clip for you where you can see that those are the numbers that we're talking about. There are charts to back up the numbers I have, and I'm quite frankly disappointed that Ms. Butcher-Farkas would lie in saying that I don't have those numbers correct just because I said something that she doesn't like. So what I really wanted to say is I'm a student, but I understand your needs. I'm educated in the issues, and I would be honored to earn your vote on November 4th so that we can all put our students first on our district.
Okay, this concludes our program as far as Board of Education. Thank you very much for presenting your views. I am a little disappointed that the end turned out more of a debate when it was supposed to be a conversation, but thank you both for being here.
All right, I want to thank both of the candidates for that lively conversation. We are going to take a short break of about 10 minutes. So everyone that's on the live stream right now, we're just going to kind of hang out for a second, and then we'll be back live at 8 o'clock with the council forum with Councilman Mike Wrubel and Dr. James Quinn. Be back shortly. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Again, my name is Mark Parisi, President of Howell, New Jersey First. I gave an intro at the beginning of the Board of Education forum. I'm not going to read it again. It's all live streamed on Facebook, so you guys can go back and watch that if you want. But I do want to welcome our council candidates. Have to your right, Dr. James Quinn and Councilman Mike Wrubel. I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Stephanie Faughnan. It's yours.
Hi, gentlemen, I spoke with you just now. Traditionally, what we had planned is that there were going to be 5 individual questions, and I had like 13 in the bag. But one of the questions is kind of a smoking gun in this town. I am going to leave that as the 6th question, and I'm not rolling the dice for it because I see the order that I have for the questions for those questions is Mike, Jim, Mike, and so it'll be Jim will start the other one. All right, I'm going to leave that as the last question because, as I explained to you, it's a crucial issue that's going on here. Opening statements, we're going to start with Mike, please.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Thanks for coming today, and everyone live streaming at home, thanks for tuning in. My name is Councilman Mike Wrubel. I have been in my role now for about 2 months now, since I was appointed back in August after Councilman Gager retired. I am a 9-year resident of Howell Township. I have 2 kids, my daughter Kira, who just turned 11 on Saturday, my son Patrick, who's going to be 9 next month. They're both enrolled at the Taunton schools. My wife of 13 years, Colleen, who is an educator down in Barnegat School District. And right now we're in the thick of sports, divide and conquer. My wife and my in-laws, soccer, basketball, field hockey, baseball. So it's a fun time right now. And just a little bit about my background. I am a civil engineer. I've been doing that for 20 years now. I have my bachelor's and my master's degree in civil engineer from Weimar University and Rutgers. I was at a firm, French and Pearl Associates, for 6 years in Wall Township, New Jersey. To start off, I did a lot of commercial, residential developments, dam design, communications facilities. So a lot of applicable engineering-wise work to local municipalities. And then for the last, just going on about 14 years now, at a larger firm, HNTB Corporation. We're an American infrastructure firm. We do large transportation projects, some of the most complex and challenging projects in the country, large bridges, highways, tunnels, rail. Currently the subject matter expert on the $2.5 billion Newark AirTrain project that's going on right now. I was involved in the new Tappan Zee Bridge design, Goethals Bridge, Kosciuszko Bridge, Portal Bridge, a lot of the big projects you see on
Mike,
TV.
we're gonna move on to.
Is it 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
90 seconds.
That is really fast. Holy mackerel. There was no time limit last night. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
That's mine, yes. Okay, good evening, I'm Jim Quinn. My students know me as Dr. Quinn, and Zack is one of my students, that's why I point over there. So good luck to you, Zack, and good luck to, where's your?
I think Joan left.
Oh, she left. Joan, well, we say good luck to Joan on the internet stream. I've been in town for 22 years as a principal. I retired in 2024, but I have not stopped working. I had hot commodity at retirement and was picked up by Freehold Regional, or by Freehold Township rather. I worked there for about 4 months, and now I'm working in Edison as an interim principal. I'm actually moving from a vice principal's position to a principal's position next month to cover for the remainder of the year. It's a joy to stay in the schools, but it's also a joy to know there's an end in sight again. And you know, I'll enjoy my retirement when the time comes. I have 4 kids. They've all gone through our school system. I moved into town in 2009 because I loved it here so much as a principal. And I'm from the area for my whole life. I was born in Jackson. I was baptized at St. Veronica's. I lived briefly in Brick, and now I'm here. So I've been in the same 10 square miles for 57 years. I love it here, and that's why I'm running for council. A new voice on the council.
Thank you. We're gonna start with the questions. Mike is gonna go first. Just tell me the number, please.
Question 3.
Given New Jersey's history of ethics controversies, residents expect transparency and integrity from their local leaders. Upholding ethical conduct within the governing body is essential to maintaining credibility and accountability. What ethical standards or professional principles from your career will guide your conduct as an elected official, and how will you ensure accountability to residents?
Sure, that's a great question. So as a civil engineer professionally licensed, I have to undergo professional development credit hours for ethics that I fulfill every year. And in the work I do, we are designing bridges that millions of people drive over every year. And there is a lot of calculations and legwork that goes into that type of work. And there's a very rigorous quality control, quality assurance process that you go through in doing that. And every now and again, you know, if there's a decimal that's carried, or you have to change a word in code, you own up to it, and you make the fix and you move forward. You find a solution. You don't dwell on it. You don't point fingers. You are accountable. And that is how I operate. We're sitting up in the dais, the 5 of us. We're accountable for everything that happens in this town. Whether it's your fault or not, it's your fault. If you want to give praise to our department heads, Justin Hughes, Brian Greenfield, those guys that are doing the day-to-day work. At the end of the day, we're here to understand the town's problems and to find the best course forward by researching all the information. And that's pretty much it.
Jim?
Thanks. Very similar. I've had a lot of ethics training over the years as an administrator in school districts. And ethics is the middle name of being a principal. I haven't ever had a problem with a question regarding my trust and my abilities and the faith that my community has had in me as a principal in this town. As my reputation has shown, that that trust is also shared in other districts, and I have a lot of connections throughout the state, and people reach out to me consistently. I also have people who reach out to me for assistance. I was the president of the Howell Township Administrative Council for 14 years, an elected position amongst my colleagues, and if that doesn't say trust, I don't know what does. I negotiated their contracts, and I pulled their feet from the fires when times got tough in any situation. They still call me for advice. They still call me for assistance as needed. And that's always who I've been. I'll always step up. And I'm someone that this town has trusted for 22 years.
Thank you, Jim. Jim has the next question.
Question number 12. I feel like I'm on, let's make a deal.
All right. All right, hold on one second. Despite recent infrastructure investments, several businesses have closed along Howell's primary commercial corridors. Attracting and retaining sustainable enterprises is essential for a stable tax base. What is your vision for revitalizing Howell's commercial corridors to attract sustainable businesses while maintaining traffic safety and protecting nearby neighborhoods?
Well, the two main corridors that we're talking about are Route 9 and Route 33. And Route 9, it has its own issues, but it's built up already. So you're going to see change as the population changes in our town. As we face changes overall over the years. Things have changed. Businesses close, businesses open in their places. That needs to be sustained, and making a sustainable tax levy will help that a lot, whether that means we have tax incentives for businesses to open up here, that sort of thing, to cut costs for businesses so that it makes us more palatable. The Route 33 corridor is a different situation altogether because it's a one-lane road in each direction. And in order for businesses to be able to be there and thrive, I believe we have to address the infrastructure before or at the same time as we address the business buildup on Route 33. The trucks that will be coming and going will destroy the roadways, and we need to be able to address that as it goes along and long term. We also have to make it safer, and we discussed that a lot last night at Equestria, which is right over there. Mike can attest to that. The circle is a big topic over there, and something that definitely needs to be addressed. As a lifer in this area, I know that's really a problem. The Yellowbrook Road intersection is also a need and something that should be addressed. But infrastructure is primary for Route 33's buildup, and I'd like to be involved in helping get that going.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure.
So we actually just passed an ordinance last meeting, 025-40, a redevelopment plan along Route 9 south from north of Home Depot up to Casino Drive, where we allowed some zoning overlays for some currently vacant properties, undeveloped properties there as well, to spark new investment and new businesses, entertainment, restaurants, retail, things that it wasn't currently zoned for, so that we can give the business community an opportunity to revitalize the area. And that's something that we're looking to do at other locations along the Route 9, Route 33 corridor, because it helps our tax base, right? It widens the tax base. And when small businesses come to Howell, they typically buy from other small businesses, and that brings families to Howell. So it has this positive domino effect. And personally, I've been going to the Howell Chamber of Commerce meetings for the last couple months, gotten to know Sue Dominguez, a couple of the other folks actually went this morning, talking about a couple of things, some questions, some concerns that they had with the township, and also working with our township manager to develop a business development arm that a lot of other towns actually have. So there really isn't a mechanism to have that communication with the chamber and the council right now. So currently I'm acting as a communications conduit, going there, bring any questions and current concerns back to them. But it's really to keep our finger on the pulse of the business community, to understand, if businesses are fleeing, what is it? Is it overregulation? Is it location, and then bring that back to the council to understand how we can better serve them so that businesses flourish in the area. And absolutely, last night, Route 33, 34, turnaround, the Yellow Brick Road, those are big issues that have been going on for several years now. We're going to be writing a letter on behalf of the Equestria, the Colts Farms, and the Allaire senior communities up there to the county and to the NJDOT to help facilitate that getting done in the near future. And I'm also going to be working with them quarterly. I already talked to John Doherty today. I'm going to start doing quarterly meetings with them as well to do the same thing I do with the chamber. Be there for feedback and to disseminate information.
Thank you. The next question is Jim.
Question 11, going in order.
Affordable housing and overdevelopment. Howell's obligation to provide affordable housing under state law remains a driving force behind new construction. Balancing these requirements with infrastructure limits, balancing these requirements with infrastructure limits and open space preservation is an ongoing challenge. How would you fulfill Howell's affordable housing requirements while addressing resident concerns about overdevelopment, infrastructure strain, and open space preservation?
We discussed this a lot last night too. And we're the town council has a plan in place. And it's addressing our affordable housing requirements by the state. So there's not a lot to do in that area immediately, but it's planning for the future. And the bigger topic is overdevelopment, preservation, and that sort of thing. Green space. I am in the opinion of preserving our green space, preserving our open fields, not overdevelopment. And keeping our rural base, our rural community, because that's where we grew up, and it's nice to have the green space around us. I believe that's why a lot of people move to this town, because of the rural aspect. As far as infrastructure goes, I always go back to infrastructure with development. If we're developing communities, there has to be a plan in place to address the infrastructure, the roadways particularly. If you're gonna put a large community in an area that has a limited roadway access, you're going to run into traffic problems. It doesn't take overnight to do and fix those problems. So you have to have a plan in place, and you have to address it as before the need arrives, really. As we build developments, we need to account for, do we need to expand the roadways? What are we doing about the environment around it? What are we doing about runoff and our watershed and our water problems? Are we going to address flooding issues? All that has to be done with a plan, and you know, that would be my goal as preserving open space and, you know, addressing our infrastructure so that we can keep developing, but smart developing.
Mike?
Sure. So, like Jim said, we did discuss this quite a bit last night. So there was quite a large discussion about this at our last council meeting, the affordable housing, fourth round requirements. We, again, passed an ordinance, the past council meeting 025-41 on Estelle Boulevard to allow a zoning overlay for affordable housing, which will get us to within about a couple dozen units of our fourth round requirements per the state, in conjunction with another large affordable housing development up off Roberson. So this is state mandated. We don't like it, but we have to follow the state mandate or else we get hit with builder's remedy. We are immune to that because Howell has taken a proactive approach to the affordable housing situation. The fourth round takes us through 2035. So with this project on Estelle Boulevard, the other project off Okerson, there's one other small project, it's about a dozen units, I believe, that we might have to use to get to that obligation. We're good for 10 years. Now, a small political plug, I'm not happy about it, and if you don't want to see a fifth round, then look, project it early, because E-plans are reversing the Wrubel doctrine. But at the end of the day, Howell is a unique situation because we are such a large township, and although these affordable housing projects are onerous, they were placed in locations that have the lesser impact on some of the surrounding communities because Estelle Boulevard's right on Route 9 there. It'll essentially be a self-contained community. Okerson maybe a little less so, but we did our due diligence when we were scoping these locations to fulfill this obligation. Because let me be clear, every township in the state that has fought this, filed litigation, has lost. This is a state mandate. We don't like it. They don't care how it overcrowds our streets. They don't care how it overcrowds our schools. They don't care how it affects our taxes. We had to be proactive and put it in the best position possible. Now, as far as overdevelopment, I agree with Jim, and it's essentially behind us now. It's taken care of. There's still plenty of open space, and we need to continue to preserve that open space. And am I out of time? No, we're going to get into the environmental protection because there's some other stuff I wanted to talk about with Green Acres and things of that nature. But we're done.
You got another 5 seconds.
Okay.
You're done.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, but it's your turn again.
I didn't want to lump 3 questions together.
You get to talk again.
Okay, great.
Question 10.
It's like we're going reversal.
Totally.
I think it is. Good question. Residents have raised concerns about overcrowded and poorly maintained rental homes, many owned by LLCs. The township's ordinances exist, but may not be enforced consistently or effectively. How would you balance property rights with neighborhood standards And what specific steps would you take to strengthen and fairly apply Howell's code enforcement policies?
Sure. This is one of the two biggest issues in town right now. 1A and 1B with taxes. I personally experienced this on my street. I had one of these illegal rentals across the street from me. I can empathize with everyone, with the overcrowding of vehicles, people tearing up and down the road 50, 60 miles an hour. I live on a cul-de-sac, by the way. The late nights with the parties, we had, I don't want to get into the criminal aspects, but the police were there many times. There was fights on the front lawn. There's, based on the amount of people on the front lawn, there's about 20, 25 people living there. And this is happening in several neighborhoods of Howell. And every day we get emails, calls, texts. This is happening. You know, I'm scared to go outside. Like, this is your home. This is your sanctuary. This is where your children lay their head at night. I had to walk my children past this house with people out front on the front porch at 7 in the morning doing drugs. It's not, you know, it's not every house. It is a minority of the rentals, but it is a very loud minority of the rentals that's essentially ruining it for the rest of the landlords. So we have, just in the past couple months, been able to pass some ordinances that have some teeth with the mercantile licensing laws, that we can actually subpoena the LLC and find who the person is behind it, because that was one of the big hurdles. And it's really a two-pronged approach. It's ordinances and it's enforcement. The ordinances are essentially the marathon, and the code enforcement is the sprint. So, in talking with the professionals, we have enforceable ordinances. We have some of the best ordinances in the area. That does not mean our work is done. There's still a lot of work to do on that front. I am a collaborative person in my everyday work. I work with other offices across the country. If I don't have the answer in-house, I call my office in Los Angeles. Same thing here. We're reaching out to other townships, councils, mayors. We're looking at other ordinances on the book to try and continue to tighten the loopholes legislatively to try and cut down lawsuits. But the sprint that we can do right now is enforcement, enforcement, enforcement. Zero tolerance, even-handed approach on all of these rentals that are legally overcrowding based upon the occupancy laws. It doesn't matter who is in there. I don't care. I don't care about race, religion, sexual orientation. It is the same application across the board. People need to be good neighbors because people are leaving town. People are leaving town in droves because of this. It is upending people's lives, and it's a public safety issue. You have instances where people are subdividing bedrooms with false walls. God forbid there's a fire. Fireman goes in there. It puts their lives at risk. It puts neighbors' lives at risk. If there's a strong wind, you could light the whole block on fire. It overloads the sewage. It overloads traffic. So we are hiring more code enforcement night and day. We're looking for across the board standardized procedures to make sure that they're following them. And we're looking to get consistent updates to understand what some of these rentals are doing to try and circumvent those so that we can continue to update and improve the ordinances.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Jim?
You're not going to get a lot of disagreement from me with what Mike said there. Code enforcement is essential, and that is the sprint. We are the legislative body, and we set the rules for the code enforcement. That's what it comes down to. And it is not our job to discriminate. We must be the leaders for the entire town, no matter who lives here. The residents are the ones we serve, whether they're white, black, brown, or whatever color. So across the board enforcement is the key. I have not the same problem to that extent that Mike described, but I have a rental in my 2 cul-de-sac community. It's empty right now, and we're all waiting with bated breath to see who moves in and how many people move in, and if we run into a problem like Mike just described. That is why I'm here. And one of the bigger problems, and we're going to discuss it later with, I believe, our last question, some of the actions and some of the, the decision-making that has gone on regarding this topic has led to litigation. And if you know who I am, you know how I operate. And I haven't been sued in 22 years working in this town. I'm here for everybody. I have taken it on the chin for the benefit of the whole group. And I say that as, when I was a union president. I don't negotiate for me, I negotiate for the entire group. And when I do that, if I have to take a loss because the group takes a gain, that's the job. So I totally agree with what Mike said about enforcement and that we are the legislative body, and that's where it moves a little slower. The enforcement has to move a little quicker, but the enforcement has to be across the board.
Okay, so you alluded to the question of the evening. Jim, we're gonna start with you this time. Howell has experienced significant, I haven't, as Mark mentioned, I haven't been writing a whole lot lately for Howell, but when there's a lawsuit, I get called in to write about lawsuits because that's something I know about. So, Howell has experienced significant turnover in leadership positions, including the township manager, deputy manager, and a council member. Actually, he was your deputy mayor, I believe, coupled with ongoing whistleblower lawsuits alleging misconduct and retaliation. These events have eroded public trust and highlighted the importance of professionalism in local government. How would you work to restore public trust in Howell's government, and what steps would you take to support professional staff so that they can perform their duties without political interference?
Well, the first answer to that question is elect me. I'm not part of the existing body. I'm a new voice for the council. I'm a new voice for the town. But I'm an existing community member. I've been here for a long time. I've watched everything. And as far as being a community member, I'm beyond just, our small Howell Township community, but I've watched this all happen in Jackson when I lived there. And it's all happening in Brick. And this is not a just Howell problem. There are a lot of lawsuits. So the trust that I have established and the reputation that I have established in this town and the surrounding area should say a lot about what you can expect out of me as a leader in this town and how I can restore the trust, because my door is open, I listen, and I work for everybody. That's it.
Right?
Sure. So, I'd like to start with, the media likes to sensationalize things. This is active litigation. I cannot speak to it
Okay.
directly. I can tell you in my time on the council with our sitting governing body, they've been nothing but upstanding, intelligent, driven individuals that are working for the people. To me, I'm a newcomer coming in. I've been here for 2 months. I had never had any involvement in government whatsoever, so I am a fresh voice, and I am data driven, and I am an engineer. I like getting in the weeds. I'm here to do a job. Honestly, it's background noise to me right now. It's we're here, we're working, we're in lockstep, we're working for the good of the community, and I've seen nothing but positive things. I mean, I just had a 2-hour meeting today with our township manager, our mayor, several other department heads. There's no toxicity. It was a great conversation, and in all my dealings with our other council members, they've been nothing but fantastic in getting me up to speed and helping me hit the ground running. It's been a seamless transition. I mean, just in the 2 months we've been here, again, not a pat on the back, but there's been a lot of positive sentiment at the last two council meetings from residents coming out. Again, we're just scratching the surface, but it really feels like we're turning the corner. We hold our destiny in our own hands. We have a great interim township manager that's advising us, being transparent, 40 years of experience in multiple different local government roles. And we have the ability to hire the next township manager that aligns with our goals of helping the residents, reducing taxes, getting the illegal rentals under control. And yeah, that's really it.
I'm gonna just say something about your media question. The article that I wrote in particular was taken directly from the lawsuit and used the word allegedly constantly. If you did not read it, I encourage you to read it. And I did reach out to your mayor, who told me he could not speak, okay? Which I understand. But please don't think
I
that
can't remember if
everybody.
it was your letter.
No, it would never be.
Yeah.
I don't sensationalize. It's my reputation on the line, so I want to mention that. Jim,
Right.
I'm sorry, I did feel I needed to say
That's
that.
fine.
Go ahead.
What are we up to? I can respond, or are we on our final statements?
No, I wanted you to respond to this.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and I'm not here to bash anyone. I just think some mistakes have been made along the way. We don't put in writing to check garbage cans from Modelo, things like that. That gets you in trouble. That gets you in court, and that gets you a lawsuit, and you lose. And we've seen it already happen in surrounding towns. So it's just a matter of, I think Mike is a great guy. And he is kind of new, but he was handpicked for the role he's in right now. And that is a voice within that sitting body. I'm a voice from outside of that sitting body. And I want to join that sitting body and represent you as an outside voice, a new voice, and someone that this community has always trusted and should continue to trust.
Okay, it's your turn again for the individual
Sure.
question. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, this goes into a few things that you've said, and that I pulled from your Facebook page. How's population continues to diversify, which, that's kind of an elephant in the room here too.
What?
Introducing a broader range of traditions, customs, and expectations. This evolution offers opportunities to foster inclusion and strengthen community ties. What community programs or events would you propose to bring together longtime residents and newcomers to strengthen Howell's sense of unity?
I have a total understanding of wanting to maintain your community and what you grew up with and everything like that. We've all had those feelings and those beliefs. But times change. As I said, I grew up in Brookwood 1 in Jackson. And my mother taught at Rosenauer School in Jackson. The day Newbury closed and became a preschool, that same day, my mother's school closed in Jackson. Times change, and things change, and populations change. In order to bring us together, we need to embrace the diversity. Make people part of our community. I'll give you an example. We have a growing Indian population who plays cricket right over by my house in the Purple Park. There's a huge league. They're there all the time, but they're just playing in a field. There's nothing set up for them. They don't. They're playing in a field. Do we welcome them into the town? Do we use a grant or create a field so that they have opportunities as well? We have tons of baseball fields and a dwindling baseball community in our town. Changes happen, and do we embrace the changes? Do we celebrate the changes? And do we make them part of our community? Do we make people who are moving in from outside part of our community? That goes for the people from Staten Island too. They all moved down here and had to assimilate to the area. There's a huge number of Staten Island people in our town. And, you know, it's fun to get to know people from outside. So I suggest we embrace the change. We do things that will bring them into the community to make them part of us. And that's the best way to go about it. Let's diversify and celebrate that diversity.
You kind of answered a lot of this already, but I'm gonna throw this out at you.
Sure.
You know, you were recently appointed to fill the vacancy on council. Of course, you're running to retain that seat.
Mhm.
And as I think about it, it's a 1-year seat, which you're gonna have to do this again in a year,
Yes.
both of you. You know, that's like a little not fun.
Right.
But what lessons have you learned in your short time on the council so far? You've shared some of them, I believe, and how have these experiences shaped your top priorities moving forward?
I would say the biggest one is really understanding the form of government that we have, and that is a council strong manager government. And we were talking about this a little bit last night, where essentially our township manager acts as the CEO, and we are the legislative body. We're the board of directors of a $65 million corporation. So a lot of the day-to-day operations that happen are the township manager acting with the heads of the different departments. They come up with solutions, they bring them to us, we accept them, we don't accept them, we alter them, we come up with our own solutions in conjunction with the township manager, the other councilmen and women. And you know, then you have the sunshine law, you have to call, you can't have 3 people in a room at the same time, so you're calling around constantly. It's a cumbersome process. So it takes someone who is collaborative, someone who is, you know, who's used to doing that type of thing. Again, going back to my engineering background, we have 70 offices across the country who work on these multi-billion-dollar projects, and there's little pieces of the puzzle across the country. I'm constantly flying to other states, working with 15, 16 different offices sometimes on some of these large projects, on Zoom calls all day, trying not to, you know, get my information wrong and to make sure that we're all working towards the same goal. And it's something I'm used to doing. Along with, I also found, you know, my experience with large budgets. I know we didn't really get into the taxes, but my experience with, you know, working with large budgets with different shareholders, different clients, different government, different administrations behind that, really suits me to this role, as well as developing specs, developing ordinances. I'm an in the weeds, data-driven person. I love digging into the resolutions, the ordinances, and anyone who's worked with me so far knows I ask a lot of questions and drive people crazy because I'm a quick learner, I'm a problem solver. There's not a lot of time to get these things done. And you know, the typical perception is, you know, it takes a lot of time for government to work, and I'm trying to expedite it as much as possible. And really, that is why I'm looking to get reelected, and I need a vote, because we have a lot of irons in the fire right now. Just in the past 2 months, we've done a lot. And I need that extra year to bring those things to fruition so that everyone can start seeing the fruits of our labor. Because there's a lot of great ideas, a lot of initiatives that are being started right now, again, with our new township managers, with our council men and women. And I just want the opportunity to see them through and improve the town.
Okay, great. We're gonna go into closing statements. Jim, you get to start again.
Thanks.
Before I wrap up talking about myself at all, I think we have to ask ourselves, why do we have a new township manager? That's a big part of the question and a big part of the conversation related to you know, the litigation that's taking place in town. I appreciate the fact that we have a good interim township manager. I think my experience in hiring and staffing has been very, very successful. I've hired, in my experience at Newberry School, 22 years, I had 7 vice principals, all of them moved up. None of them went away, all of them moved up. Yeah, so I know people, and I know how to train people, and I know how to work with people. And that is something that we need in this town at this point. As far as I go, I said it before, I'm a new voice. I have nothing against Mike. I think Mike's doing things for the right reasons, and I believe I'm doing things for the right reasons. But I'm a different voice, I'm an outside voice, and Mike was a chosen voice on the town council. That is what you have to envision and decide which do you want. And I'm hoping that that choice will be made. As far as the rest of my family goes, they're all behind me. And as I said, my kids all went through school in this town. They're all doing very well, very successful. I have 23, 21, 19, and 18-year-old. Next year, I will have 4 kids in college. Try that. So I'm very proud of my kids. I'm very, very proud of my family. My wife is phenomenal. She is a teacher in town. She works at Taunton School and kind of all over the district for the other half of her day. She's in the morning at Tauntons, and she's a teacher of the deaf for the rest of her day, and has dedicated her life to helping people. I have dedicated my life to helping people, and I want to continue doing that now that I've retired from our town, and I want to continue making my mark in this town, and in a very positive way.
Thank you. Mike?
Sure. So I just wanted to address a few things. I was a chosen voice on merit based upon my involvement. I didn't get to do my entire opening. My involvement with the zoning and the planning board. I was contacted. I am not a politician looking for a soapbox and a microphone. I was contacted because they saw the work I was doing on the zoning and planning board. I got engaged because of the overdevelopment and the warehousing, and I fought against it specifically with the Victory Road warehouse. And I got the call, I stepped up, I got the trust of the governing body, and I've been doing the work in a very short period of time. In 2 months, we've done a lot. And I would say the opposite, that because there's a positive sentiment and we're doing a lot, is that because we have a new township manager and new staff? Not, what was the variable, what changed? Again, I have nothing but great things to say about our council and everything they've done for me, helped me getting up to speed. I think I'm very well suited for this based upon, again, I know rehashing things, the work I do in engineering, it's transferable technical skills. I am dealing with this issue with the housing. Everyone is not happy about taxes. We've got a lot of great ideas out there right now that we're already starting to move forward with to try and hold the line. We are, we're looking at property sales. We're looking at making businesses flourish, the redevelopment plan. We're looking at potentially having shared services with adjacent towns to try and subsidize and bring in new money to flatten taxes out. We're also looking at new programs to inventory our different departments on how information is logged. That's another thing I do, asset management for DOTs across the country. Logging, cataloging all of our assets, prioritizing what needs to be done when, and building a budget around that. We're building a capital program, not just spending money. And I'm asking for your votes that you can see all the great work we're doing so that all these things get seen through to fruition.
Thank you both very much. I'm glad I don't have to vote here. It'd be a very hard decision. You're both lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming.
Yes, thanks everyone.
Thank you for giving them a round of applause. They certainly deserve it. I appreciate you guys coming here tonight. I think you guys both did a great job. And I definitely like seeing the respect that you guys showed each other.
Thank you.
In closing, I just want to thank the candidates again for coming tonight and participating. You guys gave them a round of applause already. Elections are the bedrock to our democracy. We encourage voters to get to the polls this election day and exercise their right to vote. On your way out, if you could please kindly make a donation, we appreciate it. And we want to wish everyone here a good night, drive home safely, and to everyone that watched on the live stream, thank you. We're going to put it up on our page between now and Election Day, so you guys can watch it if you didn't get a chance to watch it live tonight. Thank you.